I understand why so many people have an issue with incurred cost. I mean, incurred cost is a strong argument, an extremely strong argument. It's also a place where a lot of fraud can take place. It's also a place where incongruence of scope can show up that you don't realize. But at its heart, if the insured agreed to it, paid money on it, and the work's being done, it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder not to adhere to that incurred cost. And when I talk to lots of people in the industry and I talk to them about that particular point, there's often why are you in the drawer? Don't be in the drawer. There's a lot of people who just don't really adhere to the whole concept that incurred cost has any power at all. And I can tell you where to some degree it's riddled, okay? And to some degree, if you think about some of the mores in the industry, like whenever I ask people on Umpire gigs, hey, if Miss Smith or Mr. Jones or such and such folks had spent $32,000 on a roof or had an invoice for $32,000 on a roof that was installed, and then vice versa, and they say, would that be cool with you? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I said, if we had $36,000 worth of mitigation that had been done that was also completed, would you pay that? And they're like, well, I mean, that's a little different. But it's actually not really that different, is it? Honey, you have got to get out of my way. So my point is that the cats rule the world, and that incurred cost just kind of sucks sometimes. But it doesn't change the fact that absent a real difference in approved scope versus what's been done and being extremely out of market conditions, I mean, it just becomes real hard not to say yes to incurred, unless you have kind of a loose determination of what we really do when we deal with incurred. And it really is that simple. And it kind of stinks when there's like simple premises in our industry that get a lot of vitriol. Later on, we'll talk about more of those. Peace, y'all.